Little behind the scenes information. Apparently, the three of us have been talking to nobody for the past 10 minutes because your illustrious engineer down here didn't push go live. A little behind the scenes mayhem here at the Bad Batch with Brandon and Bailey, but I think we got it under control now. All right, you guys, I had a snappy intro earlier. I don't even feel like repeating it. Let's just get into this since I've got this under control now. Wow. I was 14 for 14. And we sat there and talked for what, 5 minutes, you guys? 5-10 minutes? I'm like, why does it still say scheduled? Why is no one here? What the? Oh, I didn't push live. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are actually live here at the Bad Batch Breakdown with Brandon and Bailey in episode 15. Return to Kamino. Shockingly, Hunter wasn't able to keep his promise to Amigo. We saw it coming, but before we get started with any of that, I'm going to do this again, and I apologize, you guys. I already know what Bailey's answer is going to be, but I'm going to ask her to repeat it. Bailey, it's good to see you. How you doing, ma'am?
I am doing great now that I'm not the center of the laughter this week. But as I was saying to absolutely no one but these two a few minutes ago, I am baking over here on Mustafar. It is hot. School has started here. Very inhumane, but I'm happy to be here.
I got a kick out of the use of that. We're used inhumanely hot and inhumanely early. And I, being right down the road from you, I agree with you, Bailey. So as I mentioned earlier, to exactly nobody but you two, at least we're in the air conditioning, and we're going to talk about some Star Wars now. So Brandon, I got to be honest with you, man. First of all, it's good to see you. How are you doing again?
I'm great.
Right. Yeah.
That was your face was so priceless. Just like, and I was like, what's going on? And then I looked up at the corner and saw that it said scheduled.
Scheduled.
Like, oh, okay.
Oh my God. Well,
I'm good. We don't start. This next coming week is my last week until I start 2-a-days for football camp, and then we don't start school until after Labor Day. So
okay. You know what else I discovered? We don't start the live stream unless I click go live too. All right. Well, here's the deal, Brandon. As I was going to say there, the pressure's on you now. You're the only one who hasn't screwed up royally here. Bailey with the double entendre last week. I can't even click a go live button. So you got to stay strong for us, brother, and not screw up anything. Okay.
No promises.
Yeah, right. First of all, no promises. And oh my God. Anyway. Well, you know what? Before we get started, you guys, you know how I like to do. Let's go over to the comments and see who's actually with us now. Because I was like, there's nobody here. What did we do wrong? Why does no one like us? Oh, because you have to click go live. Oh, anyway, there's Mando Clips. Hi.
Hi.
See you. There we go. Now we can start things off right. PB and Ewok. All right. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Left coast. Yeah, it'd be better if I click live. Yeah, go live. I know. Good to see you, Left Coast. David, always a pleasure. Hey, what a good episode. Maybe even the best of the season. You know what? I think we're going to have a pretty intense conversation about that. Definitely good, though. Jason, good to see you. And hey, check it out. John hasn't fallen asleep yet. Oh, my goodness, John, good to see you. Hey, absolutely. Wow, chat's going fast. Let me pay attention here. David's greetings, Paul, Brandon. Good to see you too. Hey, there we go. Linda.
Hi, Linda.
It's good to see you, man. And then, of course, Bailey and Brandon there. You know what? We're happy you're here, Bailey, even if you're inhumanely hot.
You know what? I'm so glad.
Yeah. This is what happens when you hang around with educated people, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe you might be one of them, but these two use words that I have to Google on the side really quick. Inhumanely. So that one threw me for a loop there. That was good. I loved it. JT. Hello, Paul, Bailey, Brandon, everyone in chat.
My mouth will be shut.
Oh, God.
That will never happen again.
Oh, I got to get this under control. That was so hilarious. Oh, my God. Yeah. Matt, good to see you. Matt's Collections in the house. Always good to see you. Well, We have a full house tonight, a bunch of regulars that we see on a regular basis, and I am excited for that. Thank you guys so much for your support and always being here for us, because it makes it much more fun. It also makes it much more fun if I go live so you can actually join us. So I'm not going to let myself live that one down this time, okay? If I'm willing to make fun of these two, got to be willing to make fun of myself. Is that fair, guys? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Brandon's like, oh, absolutely. Get it on, Taylor. So, all right. Well, let's get right into this. We're going to start off with some comments this time. Okay. I showed you guys that we've got, he's in the chat right now. Actually, both of them are. So hopefully they'll get a chance to see. Well, we got some a couple of comments that I wanted to go over. This one's from Matt. Matt is pretty prodigious when he writes, but we're going to go down to this third paragraph here. I can't call my prediction about Crosshair redemption arc. Remember, that was a big conversation last week, you guys. None of what he's doing now is his fault because of the juiced up inhibitor chip in his head, which is kind of funny because we might have gotten an answer on that this week. There's been people on the YouTube theorizing that the ionizing radiation from the Star Destroyer, science, by the way, is the theme of the comments tonight, actually damaged his chip since they're similar to tumors. And perhaps he's hoping that the Empire sending him to hunt down the Bad Batch is actually his way out. Not bad, Matt. That's actually not bad. I'm kind of buying into that theory, but not 100% on board yet. Still, it's a fun ride. My kids are enjoying it. So obviously we have a little bit more information, but to Matt's comment, Bailey, you know, them being like tumors and things like that. Do you think that that injury he got or something may have had it, or we'll just kind of skip ahead here? Do you think he actually had it removed?
You know, it's so hard to say because I am definitely on the camp of I'm not buying his chip being removed. I think it would actually make more sense what Matt is saying. Like if he was exposed to something very extreme and it got, you know, messed up. So I have to, I'm on the same boat with him because I don't believe it's 100% that he got it cut out because all the evidence points that what like that. Honestly, when they said that in this episode, we'll get into it later. I was just very confused by that. So I think Matt is possibly on something.
Oh, okay.
Don't jump the gun.
Yeah, there'll be plenty for Bailey to get mad about later. We'll get there, I'm sure. Brandon, what are your thoughts on, you know, we're just kind of jumping ahead on the chip thing since Matt brought it up. Removed, damaged, a little bit of both.
I think it's still in there. And I don't think that the radiation had anything with it, but I think it's just a way to make it harder to tell if he's had it removed. But I think that they told him that he had it removed when actually that was them dialing it up. So he thinks that he's doing everything from his free will, but he's actually not.
Very nice. Really quick, there's G-Force has joined us. Good to see you, G-Force. I would love to see you. Yeah, you know what, Linda? I would have thought the stun blast would disable their chips. You know, who knows? And then Matt, I stand on the shoulder of giants. You know what? Hey, there's Mogu. Good to see you, Mogu. A lot of scarring right where everyone else had a Band-Aid. You know, I think that's one of the cliffhangers that, you know, we got left with that we're going to have to, you know, see what actually ends up happening. There you go. The general consensus there, he still got that thing. I think, you know, G-Force agrees with you guys. So, and Left Coast, I don't think he's a liar. He's just a bad dude with an attitude. All right. Fair enough, Left Coast. The next comment I wanted to go on, over with you guys, because this is another science comment. And this is from John over at Super Awesome Geek Show. And he puts a lot of good information. And then I like to poke him a little bit to get a response. And it's kind of fun. John and I will go back and forth. But he said, Gregor getting shot 3 times. I thought the blue meant a low power setting. Blue bolts, whether in a circle or not, are a lower power or stun, designed not to kill. I noticed the stormtroopers were shooting with blue blaster bolts and wondering why. That's typically like ion blaster bolts, not shoot to kill. It stood out for me and made me really wonder why the stormtroopers were not out to flat out kill them, because I think they were. But anyways, that's why Gregor's okay after taking 3 shots. They weren't kill shots. They were blue blaster bolts. So I responded, as you guys can see down here, and give me some rope here, John. It could just be that Star Wars isn't consistent. Thanks for good. He's like, yeah, but see, in this week's episode, the one we're talking about tonight, they use red-orange blaster bolts. Stormtroopers get hit and die 1 shot, period. It's all to do with the color of the blaster bolts, either red or blue. So, Brandon, I'm going to start off with you because this is some nerdy science here. What do you think the deal was? It plot contrivance, and they just happen to be certain colors, and they're not paying attention to what color they're going back and forth on, or what?
It makes sense, and I still think that especially when they had them break onto the base, the Empire is going to want to capture them and get information rather than just straight up kill them. Mm-hmm. So I was surprised that when they were shooting, they weren't just using stun blast, just like the Bad Batch was. But it confused me when we saw, usually when we see people get hit by the stun blast, they just fall over right away. But right at the beginning of the episode, Gregor gets hit with, one, and it hits his leg, and he's limping along. Yeah. So I don't know. A combination of everything, the plot convenience, knowing that Gregor survives later, which he also gets shot 3 times in the chest, which is how he dies in Rebels.
Of course.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a combination of it all.
Yeah, fair enough. Bailey, what are your thoughts on the color of the laser bolt versus plot contrivance argument, or do you care?
I don't have thoughts there, honestly, because if that was the case, I mean, I have to say I appreciate that there are people out there trying to put logic to what we see on screen. I do appreciate it, and the science of it makes sense, but I would just be confused as to why that would be a thing. Because the stun, it's always a circular blue, and it's to knock them down, and then if it's not, that's shoot to kill. So why there would be an in-between of that, I'm not entirely sure. So
yeah,
I don't know.
And in Star Wars, those Brandon, John, all good arguments. Any one of those could be true, or all of them could be true at the same time, and that's the hilarious part about this. You know what? The chip comment or the chip argument really got the chat going. We'll go back to that really fast. G4 says he still has his chip. Left Coast, I don't think he's alive. I already did that one. Yeah. John, I thought he said he had it removed, like he did or someone had to. Yeah, so it's kind of weird. Go, Brandon.
He says, I had it removed a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I mean,
but then he refuses to get specific.
Right. And he could have believed that he had it removed a long time ago.
But I think, but they might have just ramped it up, and that's why he thinks it's gone.
Right.
Okay. This is an easy one. I actually know this answer. When you guys want to jump on that, where's Gregor?
It's with Sid, right? They said it really quick. Yeah, he's with Sid.
Yeah, and you got to remember, because Sid wasn't very happy about it, was what they said when they left Gregor behind. So that's where Sid over at Gregor. Go, Brandon.
And that's how Rex goes and gets Gregor now, or Sid knows where Rex is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another way to do that.
Very, very true. So if you guys could go, there's a bunch of comments. David's talking about, the dialogue of them going back and forth about you left me in a choice. And, but we'll do this one comment about, John says, but then again, Paul, this episode, the crew is just shooting blue bolts at Kamino and they are exploding. Those shots could have green like in clones from a ship like that. What's the word, Brandon?
Consistently inconsistent.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah. Oh my goodness. So I think the general consensus amongst us is that he either thinks he had it removed and still has it, at most it might be slightly damaged, but the chip is still there. Gilster, maybe the chip's just on his shoulder and he just doesn't care anymore, right? So, all right. You know what though? John, Matt, and everybody who always puts comments in there for us at the end, I really appreciate that. It actually helps me prepare for the next stream, because it gives us some great extra topics to talk about, because by no means am I an expert. But Bailey, let's head over to you, if you don't mind, ma'am. Last episode, Hunter was captured, and do you want to get us started on what's going on about them, bringing him over to Kamino, and your thoughts on the beginning of this episode?
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed this opening sequence, because it's really Hunter's picking up very quickly that Kamino is very much it's basically like a haunted house at this point. It's very abandoned. There's no Kaminoans on site. There's no other clones on site. They've made it very clear in this episode that every trooper we see, minus Crosshair, is a stormtrooper, so not a clone. So he's just kind of asking Crosshair, what's going on? This is weird. And Crosshair is just being very vague, clones are off world. He's not really giving a whole lot of information away. And Hunter's trying to pick his brain, well, isn't that weird? If all these people are gone, what does that mean for us? What does that mean for you? And he's just kind of hey, shut up, move it along. And that was pretty much the gist of it. It's just that was like, and it's kind of a reoccurring theme in this episode of just, how done Kamino is. Like, there's literally no activity going on here.
Right. Brandon, as you saw this one kicking off, and, Bailey mentioned a couple of great things in there that, I talked about it last time, the moving sale or the fire sale. Tell me what you thought about what you saw as we were beginning on this episode.
I really enjoyed it. And it was, I really liked when Hunter was just like, that they're going to start replacing clones next. And and Crosshair is like not the ones that matter. So he's sipping the Kool-Aid hard and just won't see any of the logic that Hunter is trying to place before him. And he's like, hey, bad stuff's about to happen. But no, and I like the beginning too with Omega and Echo, with getting the ship ready. And it just how much she cares. It was very like, and I mean, obviously it's Hunter and it's her favorite, but the urgency was definitely there. They weren't like, oh, we need to sit here and like fix the ship for a while. It was like, we got to fix this and then get going. So I was glad that they didn't stall too much on that. Like, we need to find a part or we need to do something else. It was like, we just got to get this functional to then go rescue them.
Agree. So let me pull this up. Bailey, Crosshair deliberately activates Hunter's comm device so that he can be found, and they realize he's on Kamino, and so naturally they head there. I want to get a writer's perspective on this. Never heard of it, never seen it before. It's here. Did this bother you, or do you think this was a cool way to kind of grease this episode, get it going?
You know what? It didn't surprise me. I think having to create things to like make something work. We didn't see a whole lot of Kamino, between Attack of the Clones or Clone Wars, anything like that. So I mean, they do have the freedom to create things like that. But this was definitely, in order to get the Bad Batch in that facility undetected, this was definitely like a very convenient for them, especially since it leads to what we come to find out is a secret lab, Nalase's secret lab, and Omega's been in there, and we come to find out more information. So it doesn't surprise me. I think that's what's kind of nice about like these new Star Wars projects is when you do revisit some of these places, you do have that freedom to add or, not subtract, but you can add things to make something make sense. And, knowing how shady the Kaminoans are, and they do say that in the episode, they keep a lot of secrets. So the idea of them having a secret entryway or anything like that's like that's very in character. So I was fine with it. It made sense.
Perfect. When you said something, Brandon, I'm going to get over to you because I want to hear your thoughts on that as well. But I see you nodding your head. But you mentioned something, Bailey. They have the freedom, they, in this case being Filoni and the animation team, to do new things. And John is actually in the comments talking about that very thing. Whereas apparently I never caught it. Lucas was very hard and fast about colors of blaster bolts and the stripes on the X-Wing meaning a certain thing. And none of that really is a thing anymore. So they've kind of gotten away from the science part of the science fantasy and are just more worried about entertaining and telling a story. Are you guys seeing that as well? Or have you ever paid attention to the older stuff and like how accurate it was?
I've seen it. Just the way that, like the characters, it seems like, and a lot of people have said this, who are familiar with Filoni's work and who know like Legends books and all that, but they notice that it seems like Filoni does make adjustments, to what George has done in the past to make his stuff work. Like a great example of that is completely changing Barisafi's character to get Ahsoka to where she needed to be. So like I have noticed changes like that it seems like, and which is odd to me, because it's like you would think, because I know Dave, like, and all these people, they clearly respect what George has done and his work, and their job is to continue that work. So it is interesting how they adjust the rules that he's laid out. So it's just interesting to me.
Brandon, do you have thoughts on that at all?
But it at some point it's hard to keep track of all that stuff. And I know people are going to say like, well, they should, do their homework and everything like that. But I feel like with some of it is they're trying to get away from the hard science of it. And like, it's more of a random, it's more fantasy than the science fiction. And I know that bothers a lot of people because it's like, well, they should adhere to their own rules. But I don't know.
No, I like that you said that, because I think a lot of people mistake Star Wars for science fiction, which it is not. It is science fantasy. Star Trek is science fiction, and there's a difference. So if they want to move a little towards the fantasy side on Star Wars to keep the plot going or just to have fun, I'm cool with it as well, especially, if they give us good stuff. Really quick before we move on, there's Steve-O. Good to see you. And GeForce cracks me up. The animation on this has just been off the chain. They did flatten Omega's hair when they came up from out of that tunnel. Did you guys see that? I thought that was awesome. Wow. Brandon Looney Tunes fan 2000. Hello. Brandon. Good to see you. Thanks for dropping by. You got a fan already because, we got a Brandon here already as well. So, yeah, Nala Say's been playing the long game from the start. That's good information. Secret. I got a secret. That's a song from the 80s by a band called OMD. Anyway, old guy 101 over here. Mando, you're never late. You know that. It's always good for you to stop by. Thank you so much. Let's go on down here and see. Yeah, we'll get into that into detail because I actually got an emotional response from a cartoon again this time. Artistic license, Mogu. That's the word I was looking for. They take some artistic license as long as they don't get ridiculous with it. And Left Coast, you're wrong as usual. So science fantasy. I'm just kidding, man. I love arguing with Left Coast. The hard science makes it more real to a lot of us. So sad to see it. Yeah, fair enough. And I can see both sides of that, to be perfectly honest with you, Dave. But they are getting a lot more fantasy with it. So Brandon, let's jump back to this really fast. This wonderful plot contrivance to get us into Kamino. Do you agree with Bailey? Is that cool, or did this bother you when they?
And it made sense too because as the Kaminoans, going from what I remember from some of the older stuff, they slowly evolved to living and then living above the water and everything, because there's those stingray creatures that we see in Attack the Clones that come out. They used to ride those and stuff, and as they evolved, they changed their own DNA and everything. But it made sense that they'd have some sort of underwater tunnels to go from stanchion to stanchion and everything like that. Those the different whatever those things are called. You know what I mean? The different
towers.
I know
what you, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, it made total sense to me. And of course there's going to be a secret passage that to a secret lab. It makes sense. It's just, what it reminded me of? The tunnel that goes right to Sid's office. I was like, wow, that's convenient. But this one at least wasn't bad because you would expect this from the Kaminoans, whereas that tunnel was just a contrivance, if you ask me, in that one episode that we all hated. So, you know what? Yeah. So everybody is, we're jumping ahead here a little bit, but everybody is talking about how it was sad to see Kamino go, and we're definitely going to get to that towards the end here soon. But Left Coast always with the counter argument. It's still there. They just blew up the cloning facility. Yeah, because the Death Star hasn't come by yet, but we'll see. But anyway. True, but now we're going back there. I was just oh yeah, GeForce was just going to ask where the stingray creatures were. We haven't seen them in a while, but maybe they're underwater minding a business. You know what I'm saying? JT, screw Kamino. I never liked the place. Never a sunny day there. Yeah, it's because you don't live in the desert with me and Bailey, JT. But we still love you. Bailey, let's go back over to you, ma'am. Right off the bat, this episode starts keeping it real and getting serious about what's going on. I mean, obviously they've got one of the team held captive, which is serious, but they didn't mess around or screw up really quick.
Scuba Pete in the house. Good to see you, Scuba.
He'd like this planet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Other than a few towering stanchions, Brandon, good words, by the way, you could be underwater the whole time. But anyway, Bailey, they get in there and they immediately realize that the stuff's being wiped and everything. Kind of lead us through what's going on here and tell us what you thought about that.
Yeah, so Omega kind of fills these guys in like, hey, this is a passage, to Nalase's secret lab. This is where all of us were created, the clones, like everything they've ever cloned has started here. This is where they kind of designed the genetic makeup before taking off. And they're looking through those files. I can't remember why they were looking through it other than to notice that everything was gone. And they were like already kind of getting the heebie-jeebies, like why would all these files be gone? Because these Kaminoans are very proud of their science, and that would be something that's not something they would do. They know this. So they bring that up. Omega brings up how she was there, like when the Bad Batch was made, which is interesting. And I kind of had to remind myself, like, oh, she's like a duplicate, so she doesn't age as quickly as these guys. So that it would make sense, why she would be present, when they were being designed. So she fills them in on like, why she knows this place. And it just really kind of sets that creepy tone of like, like the end is near with Kamino. And I think they also bring up that, well, they are, they're not even using clones anymore for these troopers for the Empire. So like, it's like everything's starting to come together in their head that they might be going into a more dangerous situation than they initially thought. Like they know going back to Kamino to get Hunter is risky with Crosshair being present. But I think like the danger is starting to slowly creep in, that like they might have just put themselves in a trap. And then they see the droid that can't remember the name top of my head, but
because it's like 15 digits or something, isn't it? Yeah.
Something AZ. Yeah, I think that's the initials. Like AZ's there and he's hiding out, and Omega recognizes him and is like, oh, AZ, like what's going on? And I think AZ is the one that fills them in that, oh, Kaminoans, like this, only the scientists have left. The Empire took the scientists. All the clones, whoever they had left over, are off-world. They don't really go into detail as to what they're doing, but they're off-world. So he is the one to tell them, hey, everyone's gone. Everything's been taken. Like Kamino is like decommissioned, and that's pretty much it as far as that scene goes. Yeah,
really quick. John Hodges is here. Good to see you, John. Brandon, I'd like to get your thoughts on there, but we don't have any clue where they evacuated those clones, do we, Brandon?
Right. And I said last episode, I think they're bringing them somewhere to kill them all off. Like mass genocide of the remaining clones.
Wow, because there's theoretically got to be hundreds of thousands of them, or at least tens of thousands, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's John, we agree with you. What an episode this was. So, Brandon, back to you.
Yeah.
We start this off, and they get right in on the like Kamino's starting to feel like an abandoned haunted house. Were you getting that? What you think of this so far?
Oh yeah, and Bailey said pretty much. I was sitting there thinking about what I was going to say, and Bailey pretty much ticked off everything. Everything that I was going to say. But it was one of those things where it was basically them explaining a lot of stuff, and it felt like a very like fact-based scene where they're just like, yeah, and Omega's telling him, but it was actually really emotional because like you can tell she's really bothered by this being there and telling them about it. So I thought it was absolutely amazing. And seeing the Bad Batch, kind of, we didn't get much of a reaction from them, but to hear their beginnings too from this character that they've grown to, some of them have grown to love. But I think this is a fantastic episode, and they stitched together a couple of the best scenes in the whole series so far, just in this episode.
Agree. Really quick before he gets drunk and falls asleep, there's Christian over at Smuggler's Canyon. Yeah, kindred spirits. If I ever find myself in UK, brother, we're gonna get a drink. So, you know what? And I put it up there, John. That's the word I was looking for. Atmosphere. I felt like I could feel myself in this episode because they really gave you that, and it just got worse and worse, towards the end, which we're going to talk about. Like, I'm getting kind of cold chills right now thinking about, and for especially you guys who grew up with the prequels, Kamino's been in your lexicon your entire lives, and the guys who got it later, we've kind of grown used to having it around and being there and so many things, and to watch it slowly die in this episode was it was a bit of an emotional situation. You know what I'm saying? Am I explaining that right, you guys? Okay. Let's see really quick here. I think they would just use up the extra clones, prepping them to just be collateral damage for other campaigns. That's possible. John says clones are mature. It doesn't make sense to kill those. It makes more sense to send them up to some far off planet. Like, I got to send them to a fat planet and get them back in shape where they die in battle serving the Empire, taking control. That's a possibility too. Either way, if we decided to say that the clones at this point were either cannon fodder or are offed, that wouldn't be too far off. Would you agree with me, Bailey?
Absolutely. I mean, they just killed a bunch of Jedi, so it's like it makes sense to get rid of the clones too.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. So they devised this plan, and they decide that they realize that Hunter is in the training facility right above them. So they leave Omega behind, and they go to get him. And this is one of my favorite parts of this episode. We talked about it during the part where we weren't live yet, the first time. Bailey, they decide, you know what? We'll trick them. We'll go up the elevator lift, and this is what we get.
Crosshair was waiting for him.
Yeah. Do you remember what Wrecker said?
Something like, "Well, that didn't work out." Something like that. Like, or "Well, that worked." Something sarcastic within that realm. That's what they said. Because they were, Tech in particular is very confident, like, "Oh, we can outsmart Crosshair. Like, Crosshair may think he knows us, but he doesn't know us." And then he's right there.
Right.
Yeah, I guess, I guess that was nice to have a little bit of comedy in there, given, how heavy we've started and if we're going to get heavy again. So that was nice. And normally Wrecker bothers me, but that didn't bother me. That was just like, oh, well, yeah, there you go. Like,
so
same thing.
I don't know if you guys saw this, because I did. I'm sure you guys did too. They actually accounted for this, Linda, because Linda would like to know how Crosshair ricocheted his blaster bolt off of a barricade. Now, the 4 clones thing I don't get. The barricade, Brandon, did you see that thing that he had placed ahead of time?
Yeah, and it's a callback to season 7 of the Clone Wars, where he throws little things in the hallway as they're running, and then they turn around and he shoots a little mirror, and it blasts, it bounces the bolts off the different mirrors. So, yeah. So supposition, he shot one mirror, or at least I only saw one, and then it bounced off the clones. Since we've been talking about science all episode, what's going on with that? Any idea? I mean, it went through a clone to another mirror, through a clone to another mirror.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
I think he had strategically placed mirrors so when it went through the clone, it would bounce to another.
What a nice man.
JT, we'll trick him. Wah, 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 wah. Exactly. Classic Sun Tzu. Yeah, John's going to kick it fresh with some more history there. Brandon, I'd like to ask you, what the heck is wrong with Tech? I already woosawed the fact that he's just not going to have any emotions. How is he the dumbest smart guy we know? We'll trick them by going up the lift.
He thinks that he's too smart, but he doesn't realize that Crosshair understands what he's going to do. Like, in every situation, he's like, yeah, this is the logical thing to do. And Crosshair is like, well, that's what they're going to do because Tech pretty much thinks that's the best thing to do. So it's yeah. So
if I was to say Tech is technically proficient, but not wise, whereas Crosshair is a lot more wise. Would that be the best way to put that, you think, Brandon?
Yep.
Bailey?
Book smart over street smart. Or
yeah. All right. Yeah. Knowledge is knowing where Compton is. Wisdom is knowing not to go there. That kind of thing. Okay. There's a nicer one too. What is it? Knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit, and wisdom is knowing you don't put it in fruit salad. Same thing, that kind of stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All righty. Brandon, let's go back to you really fast. Bailey mentioned the levity. Wrecker, did you get a kick out of that?
Yeah. Wrecker has, as time has gone on, he has bothered me less and less. And like last week's when he was like, oh yeah, he's got a point. Oh, the kid's got a point. Like that was one of my favorite Wrecker things because it's like, God.
Oh man, yeah. So I, you know what? It's the little things. I've learned that we're just going to get like tropes, Bailey. But I'm just going to learn to live with them and kind of, I don't know, be happy with what I get out of that. So pretty quickly, they realize, well, Tech screwed us again, and so they send Omega the signal, Brandon, and we get this. Omega's actually helping. Tell me what you thought of that and what's going on here.
I love it because she's so adorable. She, hi.
Yeah.
And the trooper is talking to Crosshair and is like, I've got her, and she tells her to do something. She's like, I'm kind of busy. Like, it's like I'm in the middle of something here. I thought it was great, and then obviously AZ helps knock the trooper out, and they're able to finish activating the dark troopers there. But
well, hold on.
Oh, my bad.
Are those training droids or dark troopers?
Those are like the prototype to dark troopers if you look at them.
Okay, because I looked at that and I saw, man, those look like dark troopers. Okay,
yeah.
Go. I'm sorry.
All right. No, it's all good. They're but I liked that they had her go do something else that we're gonna have her fix the situation. Oh no, we're not. I thought that was good because the rest of this episode, it's really just the conflict between the Bad Batch and Crosshair. And then there's nothing else. So there's no outside acting force on it other than, the Venators waiting up there getting ready to blow up Kamino, basically.
Mm-hmm. Spoiler
alert. Right. My bad. There was a very, looming sense of dread with this episode, and it was nice that they did the dark trooper thing to have an outside acting force on that group to break up some of that tension with that, but we can talk about that in a little bit. But I liked the Omega going off on doing her own little thing.
Really quick, Bailey, I put G-Force's comment up there, but I wanted to get your opinion on this too. This is probably some of the pinnacle character development we're going to get out of Omega because Hunter's gone. She's basically leading the Bad Batch. What did you think of how they're handling this character specifically during this episode and all this stuff?
I'm not surprised. I mean, and that it seems to be a pattern, with all these Star Wars shows that involve a kid is sometimes the kid is the one to actually take charge and get the adults out of a sticky situation. So I was not at all surprised that she was going to be doing her own thing or try to, get the high ground, so to speak. I was not surprised at all. And I wasn't surprised to see that bow and arrow contraption again that she's able to somehow hold, even though, whatever. But I wasn't surprised, with her noodle arms. But she's able to, hold it, I don't know.
Well, let me ask you a question, Bailey, because I agree with you. We do this a lot in modern popular culture, especially shows that are aimed at younger kids to, I think, can subconsciously build them up and give them confidence as well, but just to be entertaining. The fact that they did that, though, in your mind, is that bad, or did it upset you, or are you cool with that they did that with her?
I don't know. I don't have much thought on it. It's just something that I know they're gonna do, and that's just Omega. I mean, I feel kind of silly that I don't have a smarter answer, but it's a trend in Star Wars, and we got news that there's a season 2, so maybe we'll see a little bit more there. But
fair enough. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's that's all good stuff. And and you know what, really quick, Jason, we did talk about that. Bailey mentioned that she's a copy. She's not a clone, so she's not age accelerated. So that's how she probably knew who they were and everything. That's a good point. That's how she knew who they were in episode 1. Just walked up on them. Huh? She was there when they were created. That's right. Okay. So we're getting a lot of comments about her weapon. and then it really kind of comes to a head here with David. Why does she not have a blaster? It's easier to aim and control. Bailey, I see you nodding your head. Why doesn't she have a blaster then, from a writer's perspective?
I feel like they just wanted to give her something unique. Even though like logically it would make sense for her to have a blaster, which, I mean, regardless of where I see a bow and arrow, like regardless of movie or TV, I just have always thought that was like the most inefficient weapon to have. And just because you have to you have to be fast, and I really think they just wanted to, when they were making these characters, they're like, we need to give her a cool weapon because she's the girl and she's the child, so we want to give her something different. Well, space bow and arrow it is. So I really think it's there to look cool, and sometimes I think things are made to sell toys or project an image, and I think that was just it. There's no logic in it. They gave her a bow and arrow because they can, and because it sets her apart from everyone else.
Brandon, you have thoughts on that?
Oh, the Ezra sling.
No, it definitely, they wanted her to stand out with the weapon, and
But does it bother you? What do you think of that?
Would have been cool if it were something other than a bow and arrow.
Okay.
Yeah, but I want to go back to G-Force.
Okay.
His comment earlier about Wrecker and how
that's right.
Yeah. It does make sense though that he makes all the right decisions during combat, because that's his thing. Like that's what he excels in, is the physical, the blowing stuff up, the war part of it, the strategy and the thinking is not his strong suit. That's what you've got a different person / trope for. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would say that doesn't make his character inconsistent. I think that just means he's good at what he's good at, and that you've got people who are all sorts good at sorts of things, but then simple communication with others they're not as good at, or they get flustered and they can't speak. So mm-hmm. I actually like that he's not just I like that they've got their flaws.
Bailey, do you have thoughts on that? How they're portraying Wrecker?
This is something that I've always advocated for when it comes to like Star Wars characters. Is I think there is like this stigma of no one is allowed to have flaws or something, or no one's allowed to have weaknesses. Like they're supposed to be good at absolutely everything. Like they are not allowed to mess up. Like people make that argument with the Jedi all the time. They should have been smarter than that. They should have been like it shoulda, coulda, woulda. And I think I don't know. I think for whatever reason, when it comes to fiction, I don't know why people set these perfect standards for characters. Like they're not human themselves, and it's okay not to be good at everything. Because honestly, the characters that I really enjoy are ones that have flaws, and they're human-like to me. And it's like, well, how boring would Star Wars be if everyone was just good at everything and that they didn't have like a flaw? So I think that was a good comment to make, G-Force. I think people can be very surface level when it comes to evaluating characters, and for whatever reason, they're just not allowed to be their own person, which is something I'll never understand. But yeah, that was a good comment to make.
Let me make a comparison here really fast. Have you guys ever seen the Stanley Kubrick movie Full Metal Jacket? Do you guys, when I talk about the character of Animal Mother, the big tall guy that's got the just the vest on with no sleeves, and he's carrying the big M60 machine gun. After the leadership in the little platoon dies, Animal Mother takes over, and he's portrayed in that movie as pretty simplistic, just point and kill. And as soon as he's in combat, he starts making the right decisions based on his instincts in combat, and actually gets them through getting past the sniper and getting back to their company. Do you guys remember that that plot contrivance or that plot device when I'm talking about there?
Bailey's so I might.
Okay. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. So basically, I guess the point I'm trying to make here is he reminds me of Animal Mother, who just literally is like one of the most simple characters in the movie, right up until the chips are down in its combat, and then that's his forte. So I'm basically piggybacking off of what you both said. It just depends on where you're at and what you're doing, whether it's street smarts or instinct smarts. And I think Wrecker has instinct smarts, which is why I've been cool with the character as well. So Mando Clips, thanks for stopping by. Good to see you. I appreciate it. Let's see what David said. Make characters better than when they are flawed. That's why they ruined. Yeah. We're not going to go down that road. Oh yeah. Hey, there's Space Druid. Good to see you, man. Always a lover. Yeah. Okay. Gilster's seen that movie. Exactly. That's where that scene comes from. And then of course, JT, the Vietnam scenes were shot in London. Yes, we could go off for hours on that movie, but and Jason is agreeing with us. Especially that's what makes them a team. Some of it's a little bit one-dimensional, but for the most part, they didn't do too bad. So they managed to defeat the droids that are all sent up there, Brandon, and we're met with this pretty much close to the final scene here. But I have a question, and I want to ask you guys both this. And we're going to start with Brandon. This is the largest topic I wanted to talk about tonight. I don't understand. And I'm serious about this. Crosshair's logic. I'll kill all these stormtroopers, tell you that my chip is taken out so that I can convince you to join me in the Empire. Brandon, what's going on?
I was very confused as well. Okay. And I think a big part of it is he doesn't realize what is just about to happen. Like, he doesn't get the scope of, hey, the Empire's getting ready to blow us all up. He honestly thinks that, like I said, he's sipping the Kool-Aid. Like which is why I still believe that he has his chip in place, where he is so loyal right now to the Empire that, he was willing to sacrifice the, elite squad, but these other troops to bring the Bad Batch to the Empire. He just thinks that they're going to let them, join. And they obviously can't let that happen, because if for whatever reason they decide to switch sides again, they've got this force that that is
to be reckoned with.
Yeah. Yep. So that's why I believe that he still has the chip, is because his logic wasn't making sense, and that it was such a one-sided belief. Like he couldn't even see past his own logic to realize how wrong he is. So parts of it where where it was the emotional, you left me and I didn't have a choice type stuff. That was pretty powerful and all that. But when I was thinking about it, I was just like, well, why would he be trying to get them to join him right now? Like he clearly doesn't see what's about to happen. And the Empire can do no wrong, and Hunter's like, hey, something's up here. They're cleaning the clones out. They're Kamino's empty, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So Bailey, let me ask you the same question, and I'll add a little bit more specificity on it too. How is killing the whole squad that he's with right there supposed to convince a group of people to join? Like if I watched a lieutenant mow down 4 troops and say, see, come join me, I'd be like, nobody gonna do that to me. What's going on? Can you explain what you thought of this scene and what he's trying to do here? Because I'm confused.
This was the most frustrating part of the whole episode for me, because of the logic and how it just didn't line up. Like nothing he said was lining up to what we've actually seen in this show. And Matthew's comment, I'm with him 100%. I think what he was saying just perfectly aligns with the fact that his chip is still very much in there. The Empire, he is very much their puppet. He's drinking the Kool-Aid, as Brandon has said. Because his actions and what he was saying made no sense. It just made no sense. Like, you betray me. And it's like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, that is actually, there is no evidence of that. It's like you were always from the get-go doing what the Empire was saying. And I can see now that I've processed this episode, I truly think the Empire purposely put all of them there to blow them up. The Empire, I don't think, wants anything to do with the Bad Batch or anyone that's like a clone. I think that's why they were bringing those Venators in, is like, get rid of them all. So like they were kind of like setting Crosshair up to get everyone in one place again and get rid of them all. So yeah, Crosshair says that his chip has been removed, but when he was directly asked when that happened, he didn't have an answer. He was just kind of bouncing around. So yeah, and I just have to throw this in because that, him saying like how they're superior to regs and whatnot, and like this is who he is and whatnot. Like, my goodness, yeah, this was definitely the most frustrating part of the episode. And I think now that I've had time to process it, I can understand it's probably because his chip is still in there and that's why he's saying all this crazy stuff. But yeah,
okay,
I don't get that, man.
Because I was a little worried. I'm like, I don't understand this scene. I don't understand his motivations. He's all over the place emotionally. I miss you guys. You betrayed me. But I want you to be here with me, but I'm going to kill the people that are with me. None of it made any sense. So I guess the best argument that you guys have for me, and we're seeing in the chat as well, is that his chip is still there and it's not working properly at best. And at worst is completely sending, like, I don't know, serotonin levels all over the place. Brandon, is that reasonable, you think?
Yeah.
It's a reasonable assumption.
It kind of reminded me of Anakin's logic on Mustafar. Like, yeah, I like slaughtered a bunch of children and whatnot, but I'm doing it for you. Like, I'm doing all these horrible, evil things for you. And then, like, yeah, that's what it kind of reminded me of. So it's like, yeah, that's something ain't right with Crosshair.
All right. Yeah. I'm going to go with what David said on this. Then you guys kind of reiterated his chip's messed up. It's still in there. That's the way that I can, Left Coast just wants to argue with me because he thinks it's funny, but let's see here. Maybe it was to show they mean nothing to him and he still cares for the Bad Batch. You know what? With his screwed up logic there, Drew, that might be a thing too. Left Coast is, I'm going to start calling him contrary graphic because he has to be contrary. Oh boy. Wow. Things got fast all of a sudden there. Hold on. Crosshair, Steve-O, Crosshair wants his purpose, his job, and his family. He can't let go of anything. He has 2 out of 3, and that's why they asked. Okay, that makes sense. There you go, Bailey. I don't think so. It's a mistake to go back on the no chip twist, given that he's a jerk anyway, but I think they will. Bailey?
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised one bit. And that's why it's like, I don't have a very full opinion until I see this last finale, this 2-parter. So we'll see. We'll see what they do.
Brandon, I see you smirking over there. What's up?
Yeah, because I was like, I had some words because I was like, damn, I can see them going either way with this. I could see how they could do the no chip, and yeah, he is just an asshat. But then at the same time, I was like, and that's where, and I do this, and I get upset with myself because then I think of something and I'm like, oh, that'd be really cool, and then I'm like, oh, that's totally what's going to happen, and then it doesn't happen, and I'm like, dang it. Because like I would really like it if he believes that he doesn't have a chip and he still does. Like it.
Well, this is going to be part of your overarching theory about what happens next episode. You're going to tell me, right? Yeah. Oh, this is for you, Bailey. Crosshairs, you're breaking my heart. You're going to a place I can't go.
Your new empire.
He just elevates the blood pressure because he has just been such a jerk since even before this happened. So it's like, I remember I was talking to somebody as I was watching this episode, and I'm like, oh my God, if this is like a redemption arc happening, I'm going to have a lot of things to say, but I don't think that's happened yet. I don't know what they're going to do. Filoni does this thing where he'll just drop a bomb on us, and then that's the end of it. So we'll see what happens.
You're going to be screwed in a few minutes here when I ask you to tell me exactly what they're going to do next episode, then, since you have no idea. Let's see what John has to say. John says he believes the chip's gone. It makes perfect sense. He would still want his group back together. The Empire told him to kill them. He didn't want to, so he killed the squad because he knew if he didn't kill the Bad Batch in the squad, would have killed Crosshair, so he shot them. Still, though, that's not – if Brandon said, Paul, you and I need to be best friends, and I'll show you how much we need to be best friends, and blows Bailey away to prove it to me, I'm not going to want to be Brandon's best friend. None of that makes any sense to me, so I don't know. I'm a simple guy, though,
And when it comes to the squad, why would they disregard an order by Crosshair? I guarantee you they were given, counter objectives, because the Empire is going to realize, hey, Crosshair is back with his old team and there's more of them. They might be able to sway him back to the good side. So if he tells them to drop their weapons, they're like, no, we can't do that, because you're just that's my thought on that. Hey, Dino.
Okay. Hey, there's Dino. Good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. You know what? And I love the comments. People are going back and forth. He's to use your terminology, Brandon, he's an asshat and he's never been proven to be a liar. So he doesn't have a chip. The other half are like, no, he's got the chip and it's malfunctioning and this is what's causing all this. So it suffice it to say, my confusion, nay, slight frustration with this scene is not unwarranted then.
No.
Okay.
No. And it really depends on what they do in this next episode to see if I'm going to be all like, oh, okay, I could see that. But either way, I could see them doing something with it.
Yeah, fair enough.
I just don't
be very nervous next Friday.
I just don't like the no chip thing. We'll see.
Fair enough. You know what? I need an explanation for that weird. That was the weirdest courtship I've ever seen. I love you, so I'm gonna punch you in the mouth. It didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So, so they end up stunning Crosshair, and I'm thinking, well, the team's back together. Let's see what happens. And shockingly, we didn't see this coming. Bailey, with everybody down there on the ground, they start destroying. Oh, you know what, though? Let's back up. I wanted to ask you guys this. I'm missing something here, because we got to see the end, as far as I'm concerned, of a character that has been around for a very long time in Star Wars. And Bailey, I want to know what they did a pan around of the abandoned vacant facility.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of that? And did that make you feel anything?
It was very chilling. I mean, because not only did they show this, but they were showing like the cafeteria, they're showing like bedrooms, quarters. And like, to me, it wasn't so much the place that I was hurting for, it's what came out of this place. So I'm thinking back to, the Clone Wars, this is where all the clones came from. I'm thinking of like Shakti being there with the clones. I mean, something very good came, as twisted and shady as this place has been, something good came out of it, and it's over with. And I think that's like where the emotional response came in. Is like, it's what came out of this place that made it hurt. It's not the place itself, but this is where every single clone had their start, and it's being destroyed. This is the Empire's literal way of saying this era is done. We are not doing clones. It's over with. So yeah, and I guess I can't be surprised that they would do something like this with it being a finale. There's always something major happening, but for me, it was very chilling to see. And it just like, wow, it's over with. Like, that era of Star Wars is over. Like, I love the clones, guys. So it's like, that's what made it hurt. Not so much the place itself.
Brandon, you have a look on your face that I am having a hard time interpreting. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
What's going on in your head as you see this? Go.
It was hard. Like, as a kid who grew up, the first movie I remember going and seeing in the theaters was Attack of the Clones. And so, so seeing, and most of the shots that they show in this are things that we obviously see in the cloning facility in the movie. And it's really like these scenes are like the life flashing before your eyes type thing. It's like, as soon as I saw them do this, I was like, oh Jesus, it's really gonna just go away. And growing up playing the video games where you actually get to explore these levels and stuff like that, and like the original Battlefront 2, you're sent on a mission as Boba Fett to basically destroy the rest of the DNA, and you've got the clone troopers fighting you as you're the Empire and stuff. And then even in the newer games, it's the scenery is so beautiful and stuff like that. So it really was the destruction of one of my favorite settings in Star Wars. And Yep. And oh my goodness, I was just staring off, like just thinking, having like all the images of my childhood, be blown away. But and that's part of it, is the video games made it so much more for me. But like Bailey said, it's the stuff that came out of this, like Attack of the Clones and the Clones. Think about all of the characters that are some of our favorites now, Rex, Cody, Ahsoka, and then exploring, all the different Jedi and stuff like that. Those characters wouldn't have been a thing without this, Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, and everything about that comes from this. And it was one of those like wow moments where it was like it's done.
Mm-hmm.
So
I very much Order 66. That's where when the Jedi Temple is just being massacred, it's just like people's lives were there, and an upsetting very much becomes a character. So for us on Coruscant, that was the Jedi Temple. The clones came from Kamino. So it very much reminded me of that, and it gave me like all the same feelings that I have anytime I watch that Order 66 scene of just like, oh my God, like just like the end of an era. It's not a comfortable feeling, that's for sure.
Brandon, if I had to draw a picture of Forlorn, I would draw you right now. That face you're making,
just zoning out, thinking about. Yeah,
I know. Something. You know what? Here's the funny thing. I would love, as a big, strong, huge adult guy, I would love to tell you guys that you're being silly. But as they slowly panned through, specifically when they hit the Bad Batch's quarters and the empty chow facility, I was like, holy crap! This is. It's just pictures of stuff that we've seen, and I didn't realize until that moment what an integral part. And how woven through the thread of Star Wars, Kamino and that cloning facility have been for decades now. And you guys sum it up perfectly. And around the beginning of the episode, they played the soundtrack from Attack of the Clones. Did you guys catch that? I didn't catch that.
Yes.
Oh. Yeah,
like when Crosshair came with Hunter, it played that same soundtrack that they played when Obi-Wan showed up.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Did you catch that, Brandon?
Yeah. Yeah, and then the little motifs when they are landing on the platform with the secret tubing, the tube facility to it. It had that, and yes,
fair enough. It was a weird feeling, you know what I'm saying? And then of course this is animation. I'm not supposed to feel anything. It's silly cartoons, but it kind of, what did they say? It gets you right where you live, So it was good. A quick question regarding this topic, and then we'll move on. And Bailey, we'll start with you. I know you're a writer, not a cinematographer, but I'm glad that Steve-O used that word. Do you think the way they framed, the cinematography on that helped, or would it have mattered? Would you still have felt that way?
I mean, yeah, I think either way, whether they were being very creative, I think it would have hurt, because it's just like, regardless of how they shot it, we know like what this place is, what came out of it. I think regardless, it would have it still would have hit, sent us home with these feelings. And I have to say, because this is funny, because this is exactly the kind of stuff Brandon and I have been like preaching about this entire time we've done this show, is it doesn't take much to send emotional response. Mm-hmm. And we know they can do it. This is what I'm talking about. It doesn't take group therapy to like send emotions home. It could very much just be a shot of an empty scene, or like a word, a phrase. Like, it doesn't take much, and that's how they did it. And I was just like, I remember watching that and be like, this is exactly what I've been talking about. Like, this is like, it doesn't take much to send a feeling or a message to us. So I think they did a beautiful job with it. It doesn't take much to send something home.
Brandon, coming from like more of the video game perspective, and seeing those shots in the video game and stuff like that, did the way that they just went from still shot to still shot, do you think that really was the reason why we were feeling those emotions, or did it help or hinder or make a difference at all?
Oh no, I thought I thought it was perfect the way that they did it. because you've got the still images, of each part of it, and it's like this is very calm and eerie that everything is empty, and then you've got the explosions and everything happening right after that. So the calm before the storm type thing. I thought it was was it Steve-O that said very cinematic? It was it was very impressive, and they did a really good job of that. And
for someone like me, especially once again, this is animation. I didn't grow up with this, but I've come to love it. The framing and the way they did that, the cinematography for that, even though it was animated, that really helped kind of drive the point home for me. You know what I mean? Because it's like the last episode of Cheers, as Sam's turning out the light, or other things like that really help bring that sense of it's the end. This is an end of an era, you guys. This is it. No more Kamino, unless we do some weird prequel stuff, and then it's going to feel flat because they did such a good job of closing this aspect of Star Wars down. Very, very excellently done. Am I overstating it, guys? Perfect.
No.
JT, I know. As a musician, you think, Paul, did you miss the music cues? Yeah, as a matter of fact, I miss the music cues all the time. I suck at that kind of thing. I don't know whose theme is what and everything like that. So, Matthew, it felt like an official, there we go, the official ending of an era of Star Wars. I wholeheartedly agree. And I'm kind of sad to see it go now because stories have always been from here, Yep. True, Matthew. And then, of course, we get to they're slowly pulling your emotions, Brandon, out of like through your nose. Like we're going to slowly drag you through hell here. And then, pow.
Yeah.
Roller coaster ride. How did this make you feel? I mean, where are you at by now when this starts happening?
Oh, it was just the sense of dread, and then it was just watching it all get blown up, and it's like, wow, okay, this is happening. That's really all I could, throughout the whole episode, when you've got the things hovering over and you're turning a Kamino, it's like, yeah, obviously they're gonna somehow make it so this isn't a thing anymore. But the way that they did it, it was like, wow, okay, that's pretty to the point there.
Agree. And Dean, I hope you're kidding, because this is the only episode I've ever thought to myself, this would be a spoiler, this kind of stuff. The rest of these things, so I hope you're kidding, man. Sorry.
Dino, no.
Yeah. And Gilster and Bailey, I'd like for you to touch on this. Gilster said this was going to happen. And I'm not trying to downplay what Gilster's saying here, but we all kind of knew at some point Kamino and the Kaminoans go away because we never see them again.
Yeah.
Did that lessen the effect on you, Bailey?
No. I mean, and they kind of shadowed what was going to happen just from the very beginning of this episode. Like when they showed up on Kamino, those ships were there, like orbiting the planet, so we knew this was coming. I think what made it hit home was just seeing just how creepy and abandoned the facility is. I think it would have been different if we didn't have that experience. But I think even though we knew it was coming, it's still kind of no different than, even though I've watched Revenge of the Sith many times and I know what's going to happen, it still hurts. I know what's going to happen, but it still sucks because of the way they do things. And yeah, I think regardless, yeah, we knew what was going to happen, but it still sucked.
Fair enough.
Still hurts. Yeah.
No matter how many times Old Yeller dies, it still causes you to cry when you read the book. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing else. So it's coming. You know what, G-Force, thank you. You know what, that's the point I'm trying to make. Even this stuff will start to permeate us as well. Bailey, I'd like you to touch on this. Compared to the scene where Ahsoka buried all her clone troopers at the end of episode 7, where does this compare?
I
Equal,
mean,
worse, better?
It's still it's up there, but it's different because it's I'm not sad about the facility itself going down. I'm sad about what came out of it was the clones. This was the clones' home, and even though it wasn't a very warm and inviting home, this is where they got it. So, but with Ahsoka and her troopers, that's just a whole other level of sad. I will cry no matter how many times I see that scene. I always will. I think that's that's comparing apples and oranges here.
Okay. Yeah. Two different types of downer emotions, two different types. Okay. Yeah, that's when your dad. He's like, she cries at Star Wars. I'm like, yeah, who would do that? Send her my way. Because I feel you on that one. Why do you think he put us up together, Bailey? Because we were each other's people.
I don't know. Mystery to me.
Yeah, exactly. Brandon, compared to the season 7 ending there, where equal, same, different? What do you think?
A funeral, still a funeral. It was hard. Yeah.
Very well said, my friend.
Yeah, I obviously the Ahsoka with the clone troopers got me more, but it was still an emotional ride.
Wholeheartedly agree. I watched the season 7 of the Clone Wars to prepare for this, and I got the gravity of the situation. But because I hadn't watched all the other stuff, and I didn't know, I had to ask Bailey a lot of the Filoni why are they painting their faces orange and stuff like that. This for me, this facility shutting down and thing being destroyed for some strange reason, that hit me harder. Obviously I don't have the background with the Clone Wars, but it was just like, wow. Anyway, all righty, and then of course the Bad Batch is still in the facility and cut. Right, guys? Get the old what do you call it? Cliffhanger. Get the old cliffhanger, right? So, all righty.
No kidding.
Oh my God. So, I can see you both getting nervous because we're getting there where I'm going to press you down. I'm going to hold you down and beat some answers out of you. You got to make some predictions. But before we get to that, I'd like to talk about your thoughts as far as this episode and this episode only go 1 to 10. If you're in the comments with us and you've been watching along, or especially if you've already seen the episode, unlike Dean, and sorry about that, Dean. But yeah, where do you think this episode 1 to 10 landed on that scale? And if it's really low or really high for you, maybe if you want to throw in a sentence or two to kind of let us know too and see where you fall with these guys. But we'll start off with Brandon on this one. Brandon, 1 to 10, where does this episode fall for you?
9.5.
Oh, pow! Why? What? You know what? We're not going to do goods and bads this time.
Yeah,
cliffhanging bastards. So why? Why so high?
Just everything about it. The way that they moved it along. It was a very packed episode. And I enjoyed the action in it. It was good seeing the Bad Batch all together. The emotional stuff with Omega at the beginning, it felt wrong. I like not saying Omega. I felt wrong about that. But the emotional stuff with Omega, and learning that she was there when they were created and stuff like that. And then the only thing that drags it down a little bit for me was the Crosshair stuff, but this, we'll see what they do with the second part of it, and then how they go in the second season now that we know that that's a thing. And I'm glad to admit that I was wrong about that, and I will.
But you know what? You said you were wrong, but we've been up and down this whole series where they'd pump the brakes or be like, oh, we're getting a second season. Then they would knock out a bunch of crap. Nope, 1 season. So I'm not even going to call you wrong on that.
Yeah. Okay. And then obviously seeing Kamino, the cloning facility, be destroyed and that kind of stuff, and watching the end of a location that has become a cherished place in many of our hearts. The way that they did it all was so great. Like I'm excited to see how they do the part 2 of the finale. So that's it might become a 10 out of a 10 if part 2.
Right.
Explains
so yeah. If we do the whole, fair enough. That makes sense. Bailey, over to you, ma'am. 1 to 10. Where are you at on this one?
I would give it a 9.
I 9 for Bailey.
You guys are so funny.
No, because if you want a 9 from Bailey, you got to come correct. And for you to give a 9, that's not some light stuff.
Yeah, anyone who has watched this show for quite some time, and Matthew in here, he's a new friend of mine from my new workplace. So like,
Okay.
so he's new to this. But if you were to watch this show, you would see that I've been very up and down with my scores. And yeah, it is as they
You
said.
gave an episode a 1 once. You remember? You gave somebody a 1.
I did.
Yeah.
And boy, I was burned for that one. But I do. But I would give it a 9. And because like, I'm not gonna lie, this episode was very jarring. It did take some time for me to process what was going on because they jammed a lot of things in here. And I'm very much with Brandon in that I feel like I'm not going to have a complete feeling until I see the part 2 of this. But I think the only thing that like doesn't give a perfect score for me is like the stuff with Crosshair is very frustrating with me. Like there's still like some questions that need to be answered. But besides that, I mean, we've talked about it, everything else they've kind of knocked it out of the park with. So I would give it a 9.
Fair enough. And the 3 of us, actually, this is the closest all 3 of us have come to completely agreeing. And for the reasons, I'm at a 9 also, because this would have been a 10. Because if you can get emotion out of Paul over here, you're knocking it out of the park. But I still, and you did a great job of trying to explain it. But Crosshair's motivations and actions and desires don't make any sense. And maybe that's on purpose. But had they made that more sense to me, this could have been a 10. But yeah, so I'm with you guys. Let's go over to the comments here. Gilster, yeah, there we go. 9. He's, left coast. Still need answers and no more stun guns. Damn it. Fair enough. You know what? And David said this earlier when I put that up. How many times have you guys said, we know what they're capable of? Why aren't we doing it?
And G-Force said it too. This is a storyline I've been wanting every episode. Yes.
There you go.
Be done.
Let's see what John has. There's no cliffhanger. They're all dead. The last episode is just the Empire floating and Gregor wondering what happened to Jesus, John. Look at Mogu, strong 10. There you go. So the thing with Crosshair obviously did not bother Mogu. G-Force, one of my favorite episodes. Definitely my top 5 now. I don't know what dropped below that, but now definitely in the top 5. Oh, gloating, not floating. Okay, yeah, fair enough. David, I'm so close to giving this episode a 9. We'll get down to his. You're going to be upset in a minute, Bailey. John, 9. Yeah, you see that too. 9.5. Filoni does not do epic level stuff as often as he should, because when he does this level, it's awesome and fans would not get to. Comments on that? We know he's capable, right, guys?
I think this man thrives off being a troll sometimes, so he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's
just
doing.
messing with us, huh?
Face. I know what you're doing. He probably would hide in his hat, and I'll come up with a bigger. I need to find a very big hat, and that's how I'll meet him. Because whoever has the biggest hat has dominance.
Bailey, everybody knows this. We've met in person. Any hat we can purchase would be big on you. Okay, your head's about the size of my microphone here. Yeah,
then he's in trouble for sure.
Exactly. Okay, ready for this, Bailey?
Mm-hmm.
JT's at an 8.98. 6.
You guys just love pushing my buttons. I get on camera just so y'all could bug me.
The rubric button is what I like to call that one. So, yeah. Oh man, let me see. John, I give this and the last episode a 9. This 3-part arc is great so far. Do we all agree on that? This 3-part arc so far is awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, here we go. G-Force wants to play also.
That is an evil number there, sir.
G-Force is an evil man. David's going to go ahead and give it a 9 unless the next episode, the chip's gone and all is forgiven because the Empire tried to kill. Yeah. Somebody mentioned that earlier. If they all end up hugging it out at the end of one of these episodes and there's not some sort of difficulty between them, they were going to be upset. And I could see that. Yeah. Crosshair. Exactly. AK Sybil. And David said, yeah, if that happens, this one drops to a 7. Steve-O, it's a 9er for him. I would not agree with you. Yeah, the left coast off one side. Amiga's finally going to get armor so they can sell some more figures.
You can't cover up that face yet.
Not yet. She's too cute. Brandon thinks he's adorable. Oh, yeah, there you go. There, you saw that one earlier. This is the storyline Bailey. Yeah, no doubt. I don't. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad she brought this up. I am glad that framed the right thing as like wrong. because when Crosshair was saying, like, you know, we're superior and whatnot, I think that finally sunk home with like Hunter, like, wait a minute, like this is actually a very terrible line of thinking. So I'm in agreement here. I'm glad they covered that.
You know what, Bailey, you've talked about this. Separate, they tend to go off the reservation, but together they tend to be better than the sum of their parts. Would you agree with G-Force on that? I agree with Bailey. Filoni.
What was that, like the way it was worded? What was it?
I'm sorry, that was Matt. Matt that said that. I'm sorry. You have to admit Filoni's better when teamed with Favreau. I'm sorry, I put the wrong comment.
Oh, absolutely. And I've said it many times. I just think Star Wars is way too big for one person to handle, and I think the best products we get is when there's multiple minds at work instead of just one. So yeah, I'm with you, Matt, 100%.
Brandon, do you have thoughts on that? You get frustrated when they're off by themselves. I mean, we've seen the behind the scenes stuff too. Or are they better than the sum of their parts when they're together?
I mean, they've both done amazing things on their own. And I'd even say that, you know, when it came to the ending of season 7 of the Clone Wars, I don't know how much, you know, others were involved with that because I mean, those were all characters that it was Filoni's story basically. But I mean, I'm not one to compare and try to, you know, put one over the other or, you know, that kind of stuff. Or I'm just glad that we're getting Star Wars stories. And the biggest thing for me is that they both care.
Yeah. There you go. You know what? And I don't think it's a matter of saying one is better than the other. I think both of them are equal. If you ask me, they just come from way different sections of Star Wars. But when they get together, like if one of them says something stupid, like let's say McClunky here, and the other was like, no, we're not doing that. You know? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like when you guys go, I don't think we're live, you know?
And it is good that they have each other to check them on stuff. Mm-hmm. But I mean, so much of the stuff in the Clone Wars was good. And like, they're both phenomenal minds on their own. Yeah. And when they get together, they're unstoppable. I think that's the best way to put that. Yeah. And then Matt's like, you know, solid 9. Everybody is in the 9s, except for I think 1 or 2. And you know what, Matt? Yeah, we did discuss that because we had talked about how she got to see her older brothers born in that lab. Yeah. So do you guys know what Left Coast is talking about here? Because you said who's Emily Swallow? She plays the armorer, and it's a fan theory now that Omega becomes the armorer, but
so it's like because he's like Omega the armor. What, Brandon? What?
Bailey's face when I said that was
sorry. Sometimes I get lost in my own mind.
I need to go back and clip that. And
please do it. Please send it to me. I would love to see it.
Yeah.
They could do a whole compilation, I'm sure, of this entire series of the facial expressions I make.
Oh, yeah. And then we could end that montage with your wonderful double entendres last week just to put the icing on the cake. No, yeah. Oh, man.
Oh, man. If I could have just like selective amnesia, that would be exactly the memory I pick.
All right. Perfect. All right. We're getting down to the wire here, you guys. I want to make this announcement really fast. We've talked about it. Everybody knows. Bad Batch is coming back for a season 2 sometime in 2022. Brandon, have they said what month they're coming back, or do you have conjecture on that?
No, I haven't paid. As soon as I saw that it was announced for a season 2, I was like, that's all I need to know.
Fair enough, because I have no idea. Bailey, have you seen anything or other than next year?
No, and
I'd imagine.
Intentional.
What were you gonna say, Brandon?
I'd imagine it would be around the same time frame.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, depending on when stuff is coming out. So we'll have a discussion in the downtime whether or not we want to continue doing this show if we continue to like it. But with that, I'm going to tell these guys, I'm going to ask these guys now that they have as much information as they're going to get to tell us what their very acute, very specific prediction is for the finale season or finale 2. Return to Kamino 2, whatever you want to call it. But before I do that, and they know it's coming, I'm going to give them a chance to think about it for a second because Brandon's freaking out. We are going to talk about this really fast. for those of you that are watching us on the rewind, and for those of you that have been here with us the whole time, this has been the Bad Batch Breakdown with Brandon and Bailey. We've been talking about episode 15, which was phenomenal. I cannot begin to tell you, especially those of you that are in the comments with us right now, how awesome it is to have had every one of you with us this episode and all the episodes prior. It makes it so much more fun. It drives the conversation. It makes my job so much easier. So this is the next to last episode for our stream. A very heartfelt thank you to you and everyone out there that's been joining us, and specifically you guys who've been watching us on the rewind and adding in more comments. So thank you so much. I'll do this again next episode, but in case I forget, thanks to everybody who has been supporting us through this. This has been much more popular and much more watched than I ever thought it might. I thought maybe we'd get like 2 or 3 people, and that was cool. But we are getting a much bigger response than I had thought. So thank you very much. And I think it has a lot to do with these two right here. Brandon's reading the comments while I'm looking into the camera, I can tell, and I'm not sure what he's laughing about. So
I'm not laughing. I'm just smiling.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. You're making fun of me again while I'm not paying attention because I can't see you guys when I'm looking into the camera. So
no, it's all good.
Okay. Since you're Captain Smirky McSmirkenstein while I'm talking,
I just appreciate all the comments there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. I'm gonna let you have that one then. But you still get to go first, my friend.
Oh, shit.
I'm gonna need you to. No. It's okay. You know, an expletive needs to come out every now and then. I'm gonna need you to tell me in very specific, as you can get, no uncertain terms, what's happening next episode, my friend. Go.
We'll see the Bad Batch escape. Using the escape pods that we saw similar to the Kamino facility or the cloning facility on that other planet. They are going to get out of there. They are going to do their best to try and make Crosshair realize that what the Empire just did. He's going to wake up and, still might not believe them that the Empire just tried to kill them all with the blasters. And I think we might see them take Crosshair somewhere to prove to him that he still has the chip. I think we might see the end of a lot of those clones. I know a lot of the people were saying it doesn't make sense for them to just waste those clones. But if you think about it, they've already seen quite a bit of clone resistance. Especially after Hauser and the Bad Batch. I am thinking that they're just going to be
Gregor.
They're going to double down on the no clones, and it may not be the TKs wiping them out, but they might be put on a planet and they're just going to wipe them out. I think that will be another strong emotional moment when we see a lot of those clone troopers, not get a fitting end. But obviously with the Bad Batch coming back for a season 2, we know that they're not dead. We know that they are, that they're going to escape, and that we'll have more episodes to really figure some stuff out. So I don't think we're going to get, some people are like, they still have another chance for a big cameo this season. I don't think we're going to get another big cameo. Some people are like, well, is Ahsoka going to come and rescue him? Or are Rex going to come back and rescue him? No, I think any extra cameos that they're going to have, they're going to save it for season 2. And this will be another emotional episode to really tie things up for this arc for this season. And then some of those extra adventures are going to be what comes in season 2. So I think we get some soul searching between the members of the Bad Batch this next episode after they survive and escape, and we see Crosshair become part of the team again after getting his chip removed, and not realizing that he was a tool of the Empire the whole time.
You know what? I'm impressed, Brandon, for a guy who was very trepidatious about what he was going to guess was going to happen in this final episode. There was not one or ah in there. You just hit him next. So good job, brother. I'm impressed. Nice. Look on Bailey's face. Oh God, now I gotta
tough act to follow, that's for sure.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do, Bailey. I'll give you a couple extra seconds to think. How about that? Okay. All right, we're gonna hit the comments here really fast. John, Filoni misses opportunities at times, but we love him. Matt, thank you so much. Hope you guys do a live show for season 2. You know, we'll definitely consider it for sure. Like at Mogu, great show. Please come back with a new season. Steve-O, we need Bailey, Paul, and Brad back versus Adam. I barely can stand us this much. I don't know anybody else needs more of us, but thanks anyway, Steve. I appreciate that. Left Coast, of course. I'm surprised he hasn't talked about Walrus Man yet. John, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Gilster, same to you. You know what? Mando, take care. I thought you were leaving earlier, but I'll see you next time. David, 1,000% agree. Need you 3 back for sure. You guys, wow. Can you guys believe? I know I cannot believe there's people that even care about what we're doing. I just thought we were gonna have fun. And look at this. Brandon, did this catch you off guard?
That's what I was smiling at while you were saying I'm Smirky McSmirkerson. And
okay. You 3 are the Rad Batch. There it is. I'm going to rename the show the Rad Batch Breakdown, Steve-O. Mando, you guys are the best. Thank you so much. Let's see. You know what? JT, wow. I didn't even think about that. I'm going to stick my neck out and predict that this Empire thing is going to be trouble. Oh, JT, if we do this, you have to promise you're coming back too. There it is. John, Hammerhead comes in and saves the day, destroys the Empire, retcons the entire story. Man, John's kind of a little loopy tonight, isn't he? I'd like to see that.
Bedtime.
Yeah, that's why. Right? Brandon said it this time. I didn't say it, John. Left Coast, if you're sincerely serious about that, we'll, if we decide to do something, we'll see what we can come up with for you on that one. And of course, GeForce. This is the only Bad Batch Breakdown show. Yeah, this is the only one I produced too. So, JC, let's see. Wow, this is getting out of control here. Where are we at? All right, we might have to kind of. My money's on the AWAs, also called Airwells, writing up. Oh boy, JTG Force. Yeah, you know what? Same with David. Only Bad Batch Breakdown. He watches this one on. Some facts. I only watched the episode so I could. Wow, David, thank you. Yeah, that's very cool. I appreciate that. Let's go down these really fast. Yeah. Okay. So Bailey, with that, let me go back up here so I can pull this one off because the rest of these are like kind of predictions. As specific as you can get, what's going to happen next episode for them to wrap up this season 1?
Well, to start, I'm with Brandon in that they're going to definitely escape out of their, the facility in some fashion because we know they're gonna make it out alive if there's a season 2. But I think a majority of the episode, I think of course they're gonna escape and there's gonna be, it's gonna be like a harrowing chase between them and the Empire probably. But I think a majority of the episode is gonna actually take place inside their vessel. I think it's gonna be really surrounding the altercation between them, the Bad Batch and Crosshair. Crosshair is gonna obviously come too, and I think it's gonna be kind of like the Order 66 scene with Ahsoka and Rex. I think a lot of the episode is going to be like them, kind of like fighting amongst themselves, if you will. I'm hoping we'll get answers on Crosshair, to know for sure whether he's like genuinely evil or not. And if it is his chip, I'm sure they're going to correct that somehow. And regardless of what they do, I don't think that Crosshair is going to be like redeemed per se, because we got to keep in mind these are like 25 minutes long and there's only so much they can do. And I think maybe that's what they're going to start with in season 2. I think the only difference that I have between, myself and Brandon's theory is I think I'm with him in that I don't think any major new cameos are going to happen. Like I'm not foreseeing like Cody or Ahsoka, like someone we haven't seen, but I do have a feeling that maybe they'll contact like Rex, maybe Sid, because they're gonna have to find a safe sanctuary somewhere. Like they're gonna have to find a new home base. So I think that's gonna be the episode. Is they're gonna escape. They may clash with the Empire a little bit, but I think a majority of the episode is gonna be with the Bad Batch and Crosshair, and tying some of those loose ends, and then they crash land somewhere, maybe with the assistance of Rex or Sid, someone we've already seen. Like I'm not expecting a brand new cameo, and that's pretty much the extent of it. Based on what we've seen. Like we know they're not going to die because of season 2, so I think that helps a little bit, that knowledge. So. that's it. My money is on it's just going to be mainly them and Crosshair.
You know what? Wow, Bailey, you are just as trepidatious as Brandon was getting in here. Like, I barely processed this episode, but
I really struggled.
Those are really good, very specific. I love I call it a bubble episode where we're just in a bubble in the ship the whole time, working stuff out. Excuse me. And so that's an excellent prediction as well. And I like what you said, because Brandon said something that kind of surprised me. I am with you too. I don't expect to see anybody new. You know what I'm saying? Darth Vader's not coming next episode, nothing like that. But I think we might get a previous cameo. I speak English for a living. I used to. Cameo. Like I would think Rex is off the table to come in and help them out. I don't think Fennec Shand is off the table to come in and help him, because she's got an affinity in some fashion for that little kid too. So I'm excited to see who comes and helps them. I don't think they're going to get out on their own. But great predictions, you guys. Wow, that was even better than I had hoped for. You guys, you know what? Everything. Not that I think you're stupid or anything like that, but doing this is tough. And you guys remind me every time that we do this for why I have the two of you here. So thank you. Those were good. Those are very brilliant. The good news is this is saved for posterity. Right before I watch the next episode, I'm going to rewind to the end of this and watch the end of it and see how close each of you was. And we'll have the unofficial winner next episode right before we do our audience participation thing. It'll be fun. And I would love to be able to go through all the comments down here, but you guys are just awesome in the comments. Some great predictions. Sid gets involved, maybe Boba Fett, will season 2 of the breakdown have a swear jar? We might have to, because Brandon and I keep slipping. So, and then Left Coast thinks he's being funny, but that's something to think about. We still got to market this show, so people's got to be around or got to be involved so we can sell them action figures that are going to be on pre-order forever and never show up. So, but I'm not bitter or anything. Want to see more Planets Like Alderaan? Absolutely. I would love to see some of the old throwbacks. I'm going to ask you guys one question each and one question only, and it's a simple answer. You don't have to conjecturize if you don't want to. Brandon, we're going to go to you first. I'm sorry to just do this to you really fast. Amongst the main cast of people that we've seen that have had fairly significant speaking roles, who, if anybody, dies?
Oh my God.
If anybody, do you think they have? I mean, normally somebody got to die at the end of these, and it is Star Wars, so they can come back in some other show. But for this one,
can we see the promo photo?
They're all there. I'll just give you a hint. They're all in the promo photo.
They're all there. Yeah.
But here's the problem, though. The promo photo, while you're thinking about this, Brandon, also shows her with her little thing on her head too. So this, and look, and they're all wearing their old stuff. So this isn't much help.
Yep, I know.
What do you think, Brandon?
Either, well, I can't say as many as I don't know.
Nobody dies is also a prediction. You got to pick somebody or nobody.
And oh my goodness, I'm gonna say nobody.
Okay. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah. Now that we know that it's season 2 and that, I don't know. I don't think we'll see.
Nobody goes. Okay, Bailey, is Brandon over there nuts, or does somebody bite the dust at the end of this one? One of the main or secondary main characters.
I'm gonna go with nobody dies either. I think, you're not wrong. There's always some sort of dramatic death at the end of these things. And I think they've kind of accomplished that with Kamino and just the existence of clone in general. I think they've covered that. I would just hope, if anyone has to die, I would just not want it to be Echo, because my God, I would have a lot to say about that. So I hope not him. If that was to happen, Don't
put that out there, Gilster.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have wood table. I knocked on wood.
Fair enough. Steve-O says Hunter's gone and Omega becomes the new leader. That would be interesting. Omega dies for dramatic effect. Wow, G-Force. The whole reason for the show at this point. Because they called the bed. Yeah. I can't kill a kid. Rampart. We know Rampart's going to die at some point. I think he makes it past this episode, though. And then I hope Gonky does die.
What did Gonky do?
I know. Left Coast just left and right, smashing him out there. Oh my goodness. This.
What did
Oh my
Gonky
god.
do?
Yeah. Look at Brandon. What about my little cock droid? Oh, what Brandon? What is that you're showing? What is that? I can barely see it.
That's something I showed earlier. It's Frosty the Gonk droid. It's
okay.
It's from the Advent Lego calendar, but it's a Gonk droid.
Yeah. You know what?
That was appropriate.
Fair enough. You know what? Gilster was brave because he put Echo out there, even though Bailey said no. But he's got a good point. Thought Echo was the obvious choice because I have no idea how to use him.
So why save him? Like in the first
yeah.
place? Yeah.
Right. And so they realized, but who knows? I'm not going to make a prediction. I'm going to take producer's privilege, and I'm just going to see if you two are right. So, Brandon, yeah. Frosty the Conjoint. Oh, from the Lego Advent Calendar. My kid has that, and so does Brandon. It was almost the same age as probably Matt's kids. Nah, Matt's kids are young. We know about that. They're like 10 and 7, but yeah. You guys have been great sports. Thank you so much. I didn't warn them. I did warn them that I was going to have them predict the ending episode, but I did not warn them that I was going to ask them about a character dying. So yeah. And yeah, way to chicken out. Yeah. And then I got to put up old Don't Think So before we move on. The next episode could also be about the adventure of Gonky and AC, but probably not because we don't have 4 episodes for such an epic story. You know what? That is the truest sarcasm ever. We're doing fine. Things are going smooth, and they smash on the brakes halfway through this series to do weird stuff all the time. Oh, my God. And there is Josh. It's all good, brother. Got to get that money. Get that money. Yeah, sometimes I do all right. So thanks, guys. Thanks for playing along with me. You two have been awesome on this. Let's talk about next episode. For the next episode of the Bad Batch Breakdown, as I talked about last episode, we are very briefly going to see how close to truth these guys' predictions were and just have them give a quick overview of what they thought of the finale and of the whole season. And then you get to join us. If you're in the chat, you're on the show. We're going to do an audience participation show. We're going to have everybody come in one at a time, spend a couple of minutes telling us what you thought of the whole series and a couple of other thoughts. And then, like I said, Brandon and Bailey will get mixed up in there, and we'll ask a couple of questions, and we'll just kind of make it almost a structured hangout type of thing. So if you haven't caught any of these episodes up to now, make sure you show up next week. If you got a camera and a mic, come on in and join us for a little while. And we would love to have you so that Bailey can tell you how wrong you are and Brandon can tell you how adorable you are. So, but anyway, with that, we're going to slowly wrap this up. All right, I got to see it. What, dude? What did you just?
Just Bailey's face.
I know. Yeah, it's I know, dude. We could do a montage of quick cuts of Bailey's face throughout the episodes. It would be awesome. Oh my God. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping this up here. Brandon, you've been a great sport this episode. I just really kind of threw you guys in the tumbler this time, and you came out smelling like a rose and as pristine and as put together as always. Did I miss anything, sir? Anything else you want to say before we head out of here?
No, all good. It was great.
Okay, we'll try to contain your enthusiasm. Okay. Brandon's the cool, smooth one in the group. I'm the idiot, and Bailey will just stare you down. But Bailey.
My characterization is just off the chain.
You're like the little sister I never had. I come from a family of 7 boys, and I'm number 2. I never had a sister. And now you're the little sister I get to pick on because
I'm the Omega here, I guess.
There you go. Yeah, smarter than the 2 of us, the main focus of the show, and pretty much,
without a bow and arrow, please. Do
not
give
no.
a bow and arrow.
No. We talked about this. I left you at the house. You get a Glock 45, remember? So yeah.
I do, yeah. Just in case.
But with that, without me making any more fun of you, only because I love you, what did I miss, ma'am? Any final thoughts from you before I wind us down?
Nothing. This has been a fun ride, guys. I'm amazed I still have makeup on my face from the amount of times I've laughed. So it's been good.
That is the crux of the whole thing. We are here to have fun, and it makes it even more fun when you guys join us in the chat too. So we'll go through really quick and see what everybody has to say. I'm excited for the end. Yeah, I'm excited for the end. The show is definitely getting darker quickly. Yeah, you missed a lot of that, Josh, but man, this one really, oh goodness. Killster, happy, joy. Yeah, come join us, man. Come on in. I know you have a camera and can do it. Matt, good night. Had to get the kids to bed, catch the rest on the rewind. Yeah, we're winding ourselves down anyway. John, I'll try to stay awake again for that for sure. We're going to just have to cut John off because he'll be 15 minutes into it and we'll be 3 hours over and we'll be like, all right, John, that's enough. You got to go. I'm just kidding. Yeah, you definitely got to jump in with us next week. JT, thank you guys. Thank you everyone in chat. Another fantastic episode. I can only echo when everyone is, but wow. I never expected that kind of response, you guys. It's oddly flattering, especially from a self-absorbed narcissist. I just really didn't expect us to have that kind of effect. You know what I mean? It's just 3 people talking about Star Wars. So that's really quick. Oh, Matt. All right. I'll have my mic and camera set up for next week. I would love to see you, my brother. If you watch his YouTube channel too, he does everything. All you see are his hands. So I have no idea what Matt looks like. And I'm hoping he's not way better looking than me. I'm planning to be off for your finale review. I'd love to be on and chat about the show. Now, there's a man who I do know is way better looking than me with that good-looking mustache. So bring it on. We'd love to see you, Josh. Steve-O, great show, great chat. Thank you. Don't tell me there. Bring it on, G-Force. Yeah, I've told you last time, jump into the Thunderdome. And you know what? I think that's as good a one to go out with. No, actually, that's the best one to go out with. Love you too, Paul. No, I'm just kidding. That's as good. You know what? I may even put on pants next week. That's how important this show is. Left Coast might put on some pants and even pan the camera up before he jumps on.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't need pants.
Yeah, you guys notice you never see below here, right? Because I'm a Ranger rolling it, and we'll just leave it at that. But John, great show again. Thank you. I appreciate that. But as always, we're going to go out with this one. Josh, thank you always. I love these reviews. And I love that you guys get a kick out of doing this with us. So you know what? I don't want to keep anybody around any longer. We're already over our hour and 49 that we normally go. I'm very oddly specific about that. So with that, I'm going to make these two do the same silly stuff I make them do all the time. And you know what it is, you guys. I love you both, but we will see you on the next episode.